I said we will have a real cool time tonight.
Thank you, Iggy. This is Cone's Cave, and I'm Cone from Sum 41. Thanks for tuning in to my weekly Sunday night show. I'm back again. This is week 63, and I'm not going to do a big intro. Let's just get right to it. I have a band that's playing the Danforth Music Hall this Thursday. Here is Amel and the Sniffers with GFY on 94.9 The Rock. 94.9 The Rock. That is my band, Sum 41, with a song called Welcome to Hell. This is 94.9 The Rock, and I'm Cone McCaslin from Sum 41. This is Cone's Cave, and that song is definitely inspired by bands like Pennywise. And I just so happen to have guitarist, my friend Fletcher, on the show. And man, this is going to be a good show. If you talk to people about Pennywise and Fletcher, most people that know Pennywise will say, oh, I have a great Fletcher story. And you're going to hear a Fletcher story on this show. And it's a good one. Don't turn the dial. It's coming up after this. Welcome back. This is Cone's Cave. I'm Cone from Sum 41. I have Fletcher from Pennywise on my show this week. This is going to be a good episode. I can't wait to show you the conversation that we had. But before that, I got to get to a few songs. Here's a legendary Canadian hardcore band called DOA, but it's just not any DOA. 94.9 The Rock. I am Cone from Sum 41, and this is Cone's Cave. That was just Bad Religion with Delirium of Disorder off their classic 1988 album Suffer. And Bad Religion has a guy in the band by the name of Brett Gurwitz, and Brett started a label called Epitaph. And one of the bands that has spent pretty much their entire career on Epitaph is Pennywise. And I have Fletcher from Pennywise on the show. Now stay tuned. I have an insane story that Fletcher is going to tell us. You're not going to want to miss this story. It is crazy, like most of the Fletcher stories. But we also talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. Being on Epitaph and almost not being on Epitaph, being rejected at first, but Fletcher would not take no for an answer and persuaded Brett to give them a second chance and listen to more songs. It's a great story too. But don't hear from me. Let's get to the conversation with Fletcher from Pennywise.
I might be wrong, but you guys were right on Epitaph, right? And have you guys been on Epitaph the whole time, like your whole career?
Well, actually, we started on a record label called Theologian. There was a guy named Mark Theodore who had this record store called Alternative Groove Records, and he was into punk rock, and he had, alternative shit. And I talked him into putting out a record. I don't know. I think he might have had one record out before with like Mike Smith, the pro skater, Ape Rock. But I was like, hey, put out the record. And I think like we had to co-fund it with them, or like Jason's dad. And we went and recorded five or six songs at this place called Radio Tokyo, because we looked up where the Descendants recorded, and that's where they recorded. It was like a house in Venice Beach. We made 500 singles. You'll see it at the museum. We pressed them. We got, our buddy Ken Seaton printed out the album covers. We cut them with scissors, folded them, and Elmer's glued them in my living room. There was 500 of those made, hand glued, and we sold them around town. Like, I don't think they ever made it to a record shop. Well, it got in this a radio station called KXLU, Loyola Marymount College Station, and he called us for an interview. I remember I was like working at a Pollo Loco, framing, or like doing electrical and building the place from the ground up. That's what I used to do. And they came on, and hear that, Dad? And he's like, what's that? I was playing my little transistor radio. I'm like, that's our band. That's Pennywise. He's like, oh. I'm like, yeah, this is the end of my construction career. And it's the beginning of the end of my construction career. So I'll get back to work, boy. So anyways, it took about fucking 9 years after that probably. But, we got asked to come in and do an interview with this guy, Vern Trujillo, who was like the DJ at KFCU. He loved the record. He was spinning. I think No Way Out was the song that was getting spun. And came in, interviewed us. Our first interview, it was actually ridiculous. We sounded like a bunch of idiots, as probably you did when you did your first interview. And, like we hit the big time where at KXU, like the college station where they let anybody through the door, But, we, got drunk, did the interview, and he asked us what we wanted to do with our careers, and we want to be on Epitaph at Records. We didn't, it was, Suffer had come out around that time. And I was always a Bad Religion fan. When Suffer came out, it was a game changer. Like, it was undeniably insanely good. And it was like, you play it twice on the way to Hollywood full blast, when you're going to shows. And we're like, we want to be on King Epitaph. We want to get produced by the legendary Starbolt and the Explorer. We had no idea it was Brett Gurewitz and Donald Cameron. Yeah. So he goes, I know these guys. I know Brett from Epitaph. I can set up a meeting. So he set up a meeting, and we took him the single, and he goes, okay, cool. Like, awesome. Thanks. I'll get back to you. Calls me about a week later. We kind of put a mix match. We put like one really fast song on there, a couple mid-tempo like No Way Out and Final Chapters, and then we kind of had like a funk song, another song, and we tried to do like represent a couple different styles instead of just putting out a consistent, like here's 5 raging fast songs, because we're like we're getting one shot at this, put a little bit of everything on there. Yeah. And I mean, it was all punk rock, but it was just a little bit all over the map. And Brett called in a week later. He's like, hey, I really like it, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to pass. And I think he had No Effects at that point, and I think he had L7. I think Rancid was in the works, maybe. So I was like, oh, damn, bummer. And, I have this philosophy that I think I made it up. It's called wherever there's a no, there's a yes waiting around the corner. So in other words, me, I don't take no for an answer too easily. So I called him back like a couple weeks later, and I was like, hey, Brett, I'm not accepting that no. He's like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, well, blah, 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 and tried to like pitch him on it. He's all, no, dude, I listened to it. It's really good. But it's not what we're looking for. I'm like, well, look, we got a demo tape, and we like what you heard. And I explained to him, it's kind of a variety of songs. Like we have, some songs that are not on there. We have about 15 songs that are not on there that I think you might like more than those songs. They're more on the lines of like, I named the fast songs. He's all, nah, dude, I think we're good. And I go, dude, let me just play you, like, let me get a half hour. Let me play you like a little ghetto blaster recording of these songs. And he wouldn't, he couldn't say no. Basically, I forced my way back into his office. All right, come up on like Sunday. So I came up there, and we had like this little, little blaster that we were recording with, like just a typical cassette recorder. Took it up there, played him like 3 of the songs, and he pressed stop on the machine, and he's like, are all the songs like this? And I was like, yeah, pretty much. He's like, you're signed.
Oh, wow.
And that was like, wouldn't it be nice? And Who's to Blame? And like, all those songs in that first album. And he was just like, oh, you're signed. And we're like, yes. So we like ran back and, got back to the party in Hermosa Beach and went crazy and celebrated and, then got in the studio, and the first album came out, and the rest is history. So we've been on there since, I think we probably recorded in like 1990-ish. I guess I think that album came out in like 91.
It was like the early 90s. Like I always want to get like a sense of, because I was only like 14 when this whole like punk thing kind of broke with Green Day and Offspring and even kind of Rancid and you guys and No Effects. What was your feeling when that was all going on? Were you thinking in your minds like, we're going to be massive? Or was it kind of like, I don't want to be on MTV. I don't want to be on the radio. Like, what was your guys' feelings?
It was that time will never be repeated. Like, I'm like super grateful that I got to be part of the time period where you walked out of your house and your neighbor, like, threw a lemon at you, or the cops just pulled up on you and got out of the car and started harassing you, or, you got attacked by a truckload full of fucking jocks or wrestlers or something. Like, that time period was crazy rebellion hell. Like, if you were a punker, you were in the middle of it. Like, you were making a real statement. Now, if you show up with a mohawk and green hair, like, someone's asking you for your fucking autograph. But back in those days, it was like, doing battle with everybody, from your parents to your teachers to the heavy metal kids to, the football players. It was crazy. But so the 90s comes along with this next scene, and it was like, when we got signed, when we finished the record, we go, Brett, how many records do you think we're going to sell? And he's like, and it was right when CDs came out. He's like, man, we might sell 2,000 or 3,000. We're like, no way. Like, he's all, even like, you can even sell 4,000, and Europe's starting to really like this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, oh shit. So we were thinking that in that terminology. And as it started going, we didn't really realize it, but, it started picking up, going. And by the time we did Unknown Road, I don't even know what the first record had sold, but by the time Unknown Road hit, we sold 100,000 records. And that was like, you're getting $2.50 a record. Yeah. So all of a sudden, it didn't come overnight, but like, I got a paycheck for like $1,200 from Epitaph. I was like, what's this? Like, I'm not going to work this week, or this month, for that matter. Like, and then another one came, and another one, royalties trickled in, and it became a full-time job. But so as we started to get popular, like selling 100,000 records was huge, and it started getting even bigger. And then when like Green Day hit and, Offspring, Offspring was opening for us on the Unknown Road tour, and they had Smash was in the can. And Brian was telling me, Brett says it's going to be on the radio. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? This is punk rock. 2 months later, the whole sushi joints playing Keep It Separated with their chopsticks on their glasses. And it was like insane. And there was like some jealousy, I was happy for those guys. I mean, of course, everyone's like, that should have been us. Like a couple other bands on Epitaph that will go unmentioned were pretty pissed off that they didn't get that nod. And I was just like, well, you don't have to Keep It Separated. Like, the song was a fucking hit, period. And so to answer your question, as it got bigger and bigger like that, yeah, we all wanted to sell 1 million records. We all wanted to be not necessarily famous, but we wanted to, be at that level. But at the same time, we were super happy at the level we were at. And we didn't like MTV, and we didn't like, although, Keep It Separated, that record was made for $10,000 and the video was probably made for $500, it was still punk rock going on in that time period. It wasn't like Offspring went out and spent $300,000 on a video or $1 million on a producer. No way. It was definitely a punk rock record. Green Day was the same way, but, it just, for us, it felt better to not go down that road. And we started getting offers to play radio shows. If we played a radio show for free for, a radio station, they would play our song. And we're like, no, we're not doing that shit. Like, if they want to play our song because they like it, and then they want to come ask us to play the radio show, sure, we'll entertain that thought. But we're not jumping through hoops to be in corporate, part of the corporate machine. No fucking way, because we could sell 3,000 tickets in LA, and they would want to use us for themselves, but they wouldn't play our songs unless we did this, and this, and we're just like, nah, we're not doing that. So we actually kind of aggressively tried to stay away from MTV, tried to stay away from radio, and tried to just be loyal to our fans, keep our ticket prices low, keep our t-shirt prices low. Because you know how it goes, you get in the band and you get bigger, then everybody wants your money, then your t-shirt prices go up, and then you gotta have a tour bus and a semi or 2 tour buses, and then your expenses go up, so you got a bigger crew, so then your ticket price goes up. We tried to keep it small and keep it for the fans, and I guess, maybe some people would say that was a mistake, but other people would be like, that was the right thing to do. I mean, as far as career longevity, a band like you guys came out with an insanely good song, and then a video that just backs it up, and it's it was undeniable. You know what I mean? It was okay. I remember seeing that and hearing it and just going, oh shit, who are these guys? What, is this? And it was really, really good and catchy. And it was like, boom, you went straight for the jugular with that, you know? Yeah. And, it was a catch-22 because we all, you know, wanted to be a bigger band and obviously, you know, it's cool to make more money, but we were also happy where we're at.
So I play Pennywise a lot on this show. So I've narrowed it down to 3 songs that I really love that I haven't played yet. So you can pick one. Pick it. So I'm going to, every single day, Time Marches On or Fight Till You Die.
I like all of them. I would say let's go with Every Single Day just because it's like in the spirit of Jason and, kind of like life, man. Life is just one of those things where you just don't know what's coming. We just lost one of our best friends that came up like from the earliest days of Pennywise, one of Jason's best friends. And, you know, one day you got that going on and the next day you got something else going on and then something else gets dumped on you. And, I don't know, my philosophy due to Jason's lyrics of like living for today and every single day was actually a gym song. But, yeah, man, there's always a new day and there's new opportunities and there's a way to get past the problems of life and, you know, just pick yourself up and do it again. And you can't live in the past, man, and you can't have too many regrets. You got to just move forward and keep on taking advantage of it because you never know when it's coming. When the Grim Reaper's coming, you're going to be like, damn, I wish I would have done that, and that. I wish I would have gone in and petted some elephants, you know? See, I'll be like, I did it all. Cut myself up with bottles and played with elephants and, you know, So, you know, I was joking, of course. But, like, point being, man, you only get one shot. And when you really think about, like, your 80 years or 90 years or 70 years on this planet, it's really short. And, like, the older I get, I don't know about you, like, I keep going, holy shit, like, I'm at the tail end of this fucker now, you know? Like, and, you know, hopefully I got to do a lot of things I want to do. So every single day, man, get out there and live it. So that's my pick for today. What's up, motherfuckers? This is Fletcher from Penny
The Rock, and I'm Cone from Sum 41, and you're tuned into my show, Cone's Cave. I have Fletcher from Pennywise on my show. Normally right now I'd get into an influence, but I gotta show you this story that he told me. And I was there for the story, and there's so many stories about Fletcher. Some that I've seen, some that I just heard. You know, I was there in 2001 when he took a BB gun and shot up a stage on Warped Tour, a stage full of people, hitting most of them. I've heard the stories of him chasing Blink-182 out of their hotel room in a blizzard, trying to shock them with a car battery. It just goes on and on. But this story is amazing. And I was there for this one in Australia on Soundwave Festival when he got really drunk, sliced up his chest during the Bronx set. And that's where I'll stop because I just want him to tell the story. And for people that don't know Fletcher and Pennywise, Fletcher, before he tells the story, he is a big dude. He is 6'6". So take that into consideration when you're listening to this story. Here it is.
So yeah, we were watching the Bronx play. You were kind of pounding beers, I think. And
probably something like that.
All we saw was like you smashed a beer bottle on the ground, walked out on stage, and just started cutting your chest open.
Something.
Then you went to the hospital. What was the day like? Like, what led up to that point?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously that doesn't sound that good just coming just like that from a spectator standpoint. But, yeah, it had nothing to do with the day. It had to do with the fact that, like, I think Bronx are like one of the best bands on the planet. And, they're, for some reason, they do really well. They obviously kick ass in Australia, but for some reason, they just don't seem to get to that next level. They're like just simmering, like the pot's just simmering, waiting to boil over. Yeah. And everybody in every band absolutely loves the Bronx, turns up to watch them play. All the promoters, the shows go ballistic, but they just kind of like, I'm like, they need more attention. They need to get bigger. Like they need to get put on the map somehow. Yeah. And my demented brain was like, why not go out and just, cut yourself up? And then that way, like the press will have to write about that. Like there's how many bands on that, Soundwave, like 50 bands a day.
Yeah.
It's easy to get lost in the shuffle. And so I'm like, I'm going to make sure that they don't get lost in the shuffle today, which is obviously demented to think that that's going to be the way to do it. But yeah, I was wasted. I mean, old school punk rock, Sid Vicious, Darby Crash. Like I don't know. I was always one of those people that like to shock people with maybe a little blood here and there. So I was like, what better way to like get everyone's attention? And I went out there, as you said, broke a bottle and kind of I think I did a little stomach slash initially, and maybe a chest. I just walked out in the middle of the stage and just did it. And I can't remember if I grabbed the mic and said something like, I will bleed for the Bronx or something stupid, like really stupid. But I walked back over to the side of the stage and everybody was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, totally good. But in my mind, I wasn't bleeding enough, right? So I'm like, I got to do that again. So I went back out, broke another bottle. I don't know if you saw both or if you just remember seeing one, but the second one, I think I took my shirt off and went for a good, fat body. A writer called my body marshmallowy, which is fucking awesome, but I'm going to track him down and beat him one of these days. But yeah, I did like a slash from like my belly button up and all the way up to my chest. And, that one went a little deeper than anticipated. So, a lot of blood, and then kind of just started marching around the stage bloody. And I grabbed Matt and did like a WWF bomb drop, like picked him up like in a bear hug and then just like threw us both onto the ground. And I remember like laying on the ground just bloody and doing like, snow angels, basically blood angels on the ground, looking up all the lights, completely wasted out of my mind. And basically I think that ended the show right there. And, of course, Byron wanted a plane ticket home where he quit because he wasn't happy, as usual. They got me back to the thing and they were trying to get me to go to the hospital and they wouldn't let me not go to the hospital. Like, Darren Hawthorne and Scotty and a couple people, Scotty Nicholson, were like, dude, you gotta go. And I couldn't really see the cut because, I'm fat. So it was like underside of the belly, right? So I'm just in there making White Russians and they're like, dude, you gotta go. And I had a flight at like 6. I had to be at the airport at like 7 in the morning. And, they take me to the hospital and like it's totally packed. But I know like the trick is you gotta tell them you're having like chest pain. So I was like, chest pain and somebody stabbed me or somebody cut me. And they got me in right away, start working on me. And the chick's like, what's going on here? The doctor. And I'm like, she's like, who cut you? I'm like, my friend. And she's like, your friend cut you? I'm like, yeah. She's like, what's your friend's name? And I'm like, she's like, what's your friend's name? And I was like, me. And she's like, what? And I go, I did it. And she goes, you cut yourself? And I go, yeah. She goes, I want a psych evaluation down here right now. And I go, no. I go, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I go, I was just having fun and I've been cutting for years. I'm like a happy cutter. It's not like emotional. It's just, she's like, I want a psych evaluation, like screaming and shit. No, I promise you it was just out of like good fun. I know it doesn't sound right, but so trying to convince her that. And then she's like, you need stitches. And I was like, no, I don't want stitches. Just tape me up. And she's like, no, I'm not taping you up. You need stitches. And I was getting on that flight. She's all, you're going to get on that flight and 12 hours later, your body's going to swell up and you're going to have an infection before you land. And I'm not letting you leave the hospital without stitches unless you want to sign like against medical advice or whatever. She said she just wouldn't let me leave. She'd call like the psych ward or something, And I was obliterated, obviously. So I'm like, all right, I'll let you stitch me up, but you can't use any anesthetic, no Novocaine. And she's like, what? I'm all, just go for it. I said, oh, you want no Novocaine? So she started stitching me up, and obviously that shit hurt like a motherfucker, but I was wasted and I was being a smart ass. So I'm like, oh my God, that feels so, the first one, I go, oh my God, that feels so good. Can I get another one? And she was so fucking mad. She did like 3 and I was like, yes, I love it. And she goes, I'm out of here. Someone else needs to take over. I'm not dealing with this bullshit. And, there was a bunch of interns like watching her, whatever, like medical students. And there's the one guy was like, can I try it? And she's like, looks at me. I'm like, hell yeah, go for it, man. And so I let like all these medical students stitch me up. And I think I had to get like 80 stitches. And, yeah, like the ones in my chest, the one in my chest was really deep, but, I got up out of there. I had like painted blood war paint all over my face, which I forgot about. And then me and Scotty Nicholson, he took me out for a hamburger after. It was like, now it's like, I don't know, 1 a.m. or 12 or 11, whatever, late. And, it was pretty funny. Some dude, I was in line and this chick was like, oh, hey, I met you at the show today. And, I was so-and-so, I was with so-and-so. And I was like, oh, hey, how's it going? She's like, oh, yeah, great show. And she didn't see what the Bronx, so I had a shirt on now. And, my fucking shorts were like red though. Like they were tan shorts that were now like covered in blood red. And the dude like was using the bathroom, her boyfriend, and he saw me. He goes, hey man, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing talking to my lady? I'm like, what? I was standing in line. He was like 25 feet away. It was kind of a weird configuration. And I was like, nothing. She's talking to me. He's all, yeah, get away from my lady. And he comes around the corner and he had to like go around this little area to get back to me. And as he got closer, he was like, uh-oh. Like this guy's got bloody war paint on his face and he's like 6'6" monster. He's like, I go, what's up? What are you saying? He's like, oh no, it's all good, bro. It's all good. So that was hilarious. Lo and behold, I think like the biggest article, the biggest magazine on Thing talked about a bunch of bands and said, but the highlight of the day was the Bronx set. So the Bronx got their love on the big shit. And I mean, at a slight cost to my body, but hey.
All right. What'd I tell you? What a story. Well, obviously, let's play some Bronx. Here they are, 94.9 Some 41. This is Cone's Cave. That was, like I said, White Tar. I do have Fletcher from Pennywise on my show. I'm not done with him yet. He'll be back a little later. After this break, you have your Found in the Underground band, which is a band from Germany called Itchy.
94.9 The Rock.
15479.
All right, this is Cone's Cave. Welcome back. I'm Cone from Sum 41. Right now, I have your Found in the Underground segment. We're playing underground band, and this band's been around for a long time, so they're not super underground, I would say, in Europe. They are from Germany, but I would say they're maybe underground if we're talking North America and Canada and Toronto and the Durham region where this show is based out of. The band is called Itchy, and they've been playing with us for a long time. They actually had the greatest name. They were called Itchy Poopzkid before, and now they've since shortened their name to just Itchy. It's all right. I liked Itchy Poopzkid, though. I thought it was awesome. I have Sibby from the band on the show right now to explain a song that I really like of theirs called Prison Light.
Yeah, well, the song Prison Light is about this feeling you get at night when you try to go to sleep, but you just can't because there's so much stuff going on inside your head. The voices, they don't stop talking. The lights, they don't stop flickering, and it just drives you completely crazy because you can't do anything about it. So, yeah, I think we can all relate to that. Yeah, that's what the song is about. Here is Prison Light. Enjoy. Hey guys, this is CB from the band Itchy, and I'm hanging out here in Cone's Cave.
This prison light keeping me up at night, watching me.
94.9 The Rock. There's your Found in the Underground band this week, band called Itchy from Germany. I'm Cone McCaslin from Sum 41, and this is Cone's Cave. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, this show happens every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also get it at therock.fm if you're not in the Toronto area. I do have Fletcher from Pennywise on my show as my guest this week, and I'm going to get him back on the show right now to request the metal song of the week. We're going to do mandatory metal. The question was, Fletcher, what is your favorite heavy metal band?
Oh man, there's a lot of them, but I'm going to have to go with Pantera.
Pantera. Cool.
Yeah, that's some good stuff right there. I mean, Slayer, come on, it's tough, dude. Slayer, Pantera. Yep. Yeah, I think you do play Pantera, maybe like a little walk.
Pantera, walk. Here it is on 94.9 The Rock.